Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is a brand new series on my channel and this is all for beginners. It's going to be a beginners Vinyasa series, so it's for those who have been to yoga before and kind of know the foundations but they're not quite sure what style they like yet. This series is a really nice introduction to Vinyasa, what the structure is and kind of how we move and we flow through our Vinyasa practice. So it's going to be quite slow today, and we're going to start in a child's pose. Grab any blocks or anything that you might need to help you with your practice today. Just pop them to one side and then come to your child's pose. Big toes touch, knees out wide, and just walk the hands on the chest all the way down to the floor. Forehead to floor if you can. And just let the elbows come down to the floor. Taking a few deep breaths in your child's pose. Inhaling through the nose. And then out through the mouth. Inhale through the nose. And exhale it through the mouth. Final time. Inhaling through the nose. And then exhaling out through the mouth. Staying for a few more deep breaths, just breathing in and out through the nose now. Now in our Vinyasa style of yoga, the whole premise of it is one breath and one movement. So we'll inhale and do one movement and then exhale to do another. This can get a little confusing at first and take a little while to get the hang of, so don't worry if you get a little bit lost today. And then lifting the forehead slightly, walking the hands over to the left side. Perhaps stacking left palm on top. Maybe not. And taking 2 more deep breaths. And then lifting the forehead, walk the hands back to center. And this time over to the right side. Perhaps left palm on top. Two more deep breaths. And then lift the forehead, walk the hands back to center, and pull yourself all the way up to an all fours position. So your knees are stacked underneath your hips and your wrists are underneath your shoulders. Taking some movement through the spine now with our cat-cows. We're going to inhale to drop the belly and gaze forward. And then exhale, take the tailbone, rounding through the back and pushing the floor away from you. Inhale to drop the belly, arch the back and gaze forward. And then exhale, take the tailbone, round through the back, push the floor. 2 more. Inhaling to drop the belly down, gaze forward. And then exhale, tailbone tucks, round through the spine. Final one. Inhaling, arching through the back. And then exhaling to round. Inhale, come back to neutral. We're going to walk the palms a little bit further out, coming to our puppy pose. So you can drop down onto the elbows, take the chest and the chin towards the floor. Or for a bit more active, you can keep the arms straight, sending the chest and the chin down to the floor. We're just staying here for 3 breaths. Don't worry if it's a little sticky. Just breathe through it. final breath in through the nose. And then out through the nose. And then slowly walking your hands back to your tabletop. We're going to tuck the toes and take our first downward facing dog. Send the hips up high, perhaps bending the knees. Take a pedal just because it's our first one. It's nice to introduce a little bit of movement to wake up the hamstrings. Maybe take a press through the shoulders for one more breath. And then inhale to look forward, bend the knees, and just take baby steps all the way to the front of the mat. Bend the knees and just take a forward fold. Maybe sway from side to side, or perhaps grab the elbows and take a bounce through. And then coming back to stillness, hands towards the floor. Slowly roll all the way up to your standing position at the top of your mat. Roll the shoulders back, take a big breath in through the nose. And exhale it out through the mouth. So we're going to take 2 rounds of Syria A now, just to finish off our warm-up. And then we're going to move into our flow, and then we will finish off with some cool down and Shavasana. So that's the general structure of your Vinyasa class. So big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Palms facing the front of the mat, and just roll the shoulders back one more time. And then big breath in, palms together all the way up to the sky. Exhale, fold it down towards your forward fold. Inhale to come halfway, hands can go on shins, pull the shoulders back. Perhaps hands are just hanging down, pull the shoulder blades together. Then exhale, palms go to floor, step it all the way back to your high plank, dropping the knees down to the floor, untuck the toes, and then shift the weight slightly forward, chest and chin come down to the floor. Inhale to roll forward, baby cobra, so keeping a bend in the elbows. And then exhale, tuck the toes, send it back to down dog for 5 deep breaths. A really good way to check if you are in the right downward dog shape is to shift forward to high plank. You should be in a really good high plank position. If you're not, adjust to your perfect high plank. And then just keep the hands and the feet where they are. Send the hips all the way back for your down dog. And you should be in the perfect position. You can bend the knees if you need to for 2 more breaths. And then inhaling to bend the knees, look forward and step to the front of the mat. Come back to your halfway lift, hands on shins maybe. And then exhale to fold it down towards the floor. Inhale, come all the way up, palms touch up to the sky. And then exhale, we're gonna take it straight back down for the second round. Fold it down on the exhale, palms to floor. Inhale, hands to shin, halfway lift. Exhale, palms to floor, step it back, high plank. Drop the knees, untuck the toes, shift the weight slightly forward and chest and chin go down to the floor. Inhale to come forward, bend through the elbows, baby cobra. And then exhale, take it back, downward facing dog in your perfect downward facing dog shape. Four more breaths.
Focusing on doing the inhales for one movement and then exhaling for another. And don't worry if you get a little lost. One more breath. And then inhaling to bend the knees. Take a step forward to the front of the mat. Come up to your halfway lift, hands on the shins. Exhale to fold it down to the floor. Inhale, arms come all the way up to the sky. And then exhale, hands come down by your side for your mountain pose. Really good. So now we're going to go through our flow. It's going to be standing postures, and then we'll go into our seated postures and our cool down. So we're going to start in our eagle pose. So come to the front of the mat, hands on the hips, right knee bends to 90 degrees. Take the arms out wide to the side, and then begin to wrap that right leg all the way around the left. Perhaps the toes come onto the shin, or maybe they're just at the side. And then we're going to take left arm underneath, right arm on top, cross at the elbows, perhaps back of hands touch, perhaps the palms touch. Staying for 3 breaths, picking your focal point to concentrate on, and staying for 2. And then staying, final breath. Then unraveling the right toes, unravel the leg, unravel the arms, and send the right leg all the way back to a half moon. So left hand is going to come down to the floor, right arm is above. Holding for 2 breaths. You can take a block underneath the left hand if you need a bit of extra support. Final breath. Bend the bottom leg and step it all the way back to your warrior 2. So right foot is at 90 degrees, bending into the left leg, gazing forward, and making sure that our shoulders are stacked on top of our hips. We're not too far forwards or backwards. We're just nicely propped up on the top. 2 more breaths in your warrior 2. And then inhaling to straighten that front leg. We're going to reach the left arm all the way forward. Take the left fingertips down to the floor for our triangle pose. So right arm is overhead and the arms want to be in one equal line if they can. You might need a block underneath the left hand for a little bit of extra support to give yourself a bit more space. 2 more breaths, gazing up towards the ceiling if it's available. Final breath in. And then gaze down, bend into the left leg. Both hands come on either side of the left toes and swivel the right toes at the back. Drop the right knee down and untuck the toe, come to your low lunge. We're going to plant the right palm down to the floor, left arm comes all the way up for a twisted lunge. Maybe you want to tuck the back toes under, straighten through the back leg. One more breath. And then back knee down, frame the front foot, and then straighten through the left leg, take it to your half splits. Again, maybe blocks underneath the hands here. Making sure to square the hips, so you're pulling the right hip round so that the hips are in one equal line.
lengthening through the back, and perhaps staying here, or you can point those left toes and then exhale, flex them up to the ceiling. Inhale, point the toes. Exhale, left toes to ceiling. Inhale, final time, pointing through the left toes. Exhale to the ceiling. And then just moving your blocks out of the way. Shift it forward back to your low lunge, hands either side of that left foot. And step it back to your downward facing dog. Take a pedal, whatever you need. And then walking the feet all the way forwards to the front of the mat. Rolling slowly all the way to the top, back to your standing position. Take a roll through the shoulders. Now onto the other side, taking the hands to our hips. Bend up that left leg 90 degrees. Arms come out wide to the side. Left leg wraps all the way around the right, perhaps toes on the inside of the shin. Right arm underneath, left on top, cross at the elbows, palms touch, or maybe it's the back of the hands. 3 breaths. Inhale for 2. Inhale for 1. And then we're going to untuck the toes, unravel the left leg, unravel the arms, send the left leg all the way back. Right hand comes to the floor for your half moon. 3 breaths. Plant the right big toe down into the floor to help you with stability. Open through the top shoulder. 1 more breath. Then we're going to soften through that bottom leg, step it all the way back to a warrior 2. So bending into the right leg this time, gazing forward, making sure to stack the shoulders on top of the hips. 2 more breaths. Inhaling to straighten the right leg. Reach the right arm all the way forwards as far as you can go. And then exhale, right palm comes towards the floor, triangle pose. Gazing up. 3 breaths. Final breath in. And then we're going to gaze down. Soften that right leg. Take the hands on either side of the right foot, swivel the back toes. Drop the back knee down, low lunge. And then planting the left hand down to the floor, the right arm comes all the way up to take a twisted lunge. Perhaps back knee off if you want it a little bit stronger. 2 more breaths. And then back knee comes down, frame the front foot, perhaps bringing your blocks with you, straightening through the right leg to a half splits. Lengthening through the spine. And perhaps pointing and flexing those right toes. So inhaling to point the right toes. And then exhale to flex. Inhale to point. Exhale to flex. Final 1. Inhaling to point, and then exhaling to flex. And then taking one more breath in your half splits. And then shift it forward to your low lunge. Move your blocks out of the way. Hands go down, step it back to a downward facing dog. And now we're gonna take what we call a vinyasa. So when you're in class and a teacher says, take a vinyasa, this will typically be in between flows or in between the sequences. And what this means is 3 movements. So what you will do is come to your high plank position. We're going to take it through a chaturanga, but you could take a knees, chest and chin like we did at the beginning. If you're going to take a chaturanga, drop the knees down, and then we're going to shift the weight slightly forward. We're going to bend into the elbows until we get to 90 degrees, and then we're going to stop. And then we're going to inhale to roll it forward to your cobra or perhaps your up dog. And then exhale, tuck the toes and send it back downward facing dog. So those 3 movements are what you call your vinyasa. And it could be exactly those 3 movements, or it could be a slight variation depending on what your body needs that day. So taking 3 more deep breaths in your down dog. And then we're going to drop the knees down to the floor. Take the feet over to the side and the feet all the way forward. Coming to a butterfly pose or a Baddha Konasana. So your soles of the feet are together and your knees are out wide to the side. If your knees are really high, you might need some block support underneath, and that's completely fine. A lot of this can depend on the way our hips are and just our anatomy in general, so don't worry if you need a bit of help from your blocks. And then inhaling to lengthen really tall, and exhaling, chest goes forward if you can, focusing on a flat spine. Just 3 breaths. We're going to inhale to come back up. Take the arms out in front of you. Keep the feet where they are, just remove your blocks if they're in the way. We're going to roll all the way down to lying down for the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and then all the way down on 1. Then bend the knees, plant the feet down to the floor. Make sure you can tickle your ankles, and then palms press down, taking a bridge pose. So peeling your lower back and your middle back off the floor, squeezing the glutes and pushing the hips up to the ceiling. Just 2 more breaths before we round off and close the practice. And then rolling yourself down really carefully and bringing your knees into your chest. Take a little rock from side to side, massage out that lower back. And then drop the knees over to the left side. Perhaps right arm extends out, take a spinal twist. Two more breaths.
Then bring the head back to center first. Bring the knees into your chest and then over to the right side. Perhaps left arm extends out. Maybe gaze over to the left. Two more breaths. And then head comes back to the middle first. Bring the knees into your chest. Just give yourself a nice big hug. Squeeze the knees in close. And then exhale, send it all out for your Shavasana. Might be nice to extend everything out. Or perhaps place the soles of the feet together, let the knees drop out wide. And taking a big breath in through the nose. Exhale it all out through the mouth. One more, breathing in through the nose, deep down from the belly. Exhale all the way out. Letting everything melt down into your mat. And releasing your jaw. And then slowly beginning to deepen up your breath. Perhaps bringing some movement back into the body, taking a wiggle through the fingers and through the toes. And then taking a stretch if that feels good. And however you wish, making your way back up to your seated position. And closing down the eyes. And just taking a moment to be grateful that we can move in the way that we do. And just for getting on your mat and showing up today. Bring the palms to your heart center. And on the inhale, take the thumbs up to the forehead. And exhale, if it's in your practice, you can say namaste. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. There will be 3 more videos in this series, each that get progressively harder, or we might pick up the pace a little bit. So hopefully I'll see you in my next video.